3, 2, 1. Buenos noches and welcome to Thursdays with NAMI. My name is Peg Morrison and I'll be your host for tonight. I'm the Director of Programs for the National Alliance on Mental Illness of North Carolina. Thursdays with NAMI is our way of connecting with one another and building conversations, building community around the topic of mental health. July is Minority Mental Health Month, and this week we're focusing on Latinx mental health. Tonight we will have a conversation with the three Amigas, whom I have had the pleasure of meeting through NAMI on the national level. Each of these ladies has battled mental illness and stigma their whole lives, and each has held leadership roles on the state and national board to make a difference for others who struggle. But first, a word from our sponsors. I'm going to share a screen and show you the beautiful logo that represents our state funding source. Here we go. Thursdays with NAMI is provided in part by the North Carolina Division of Mental Health, Developmental Disabilities, and Substance Abuse Services through the Federal Community Mental Health Services Block Grant Fund. This grant comes from the U.S. Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. We really appreciate their guidance and support. They're always there for us. Alrighty, the early part of our show will be a conversation with our esteemed guests. About halfway through, we will show our video of the week, and then we'll spend time answering your questions in English or in Spanish. I have a translator in just tonight to help us out. Moving right along, Thursdays with NAMI is recorded. So if you have friends who couldn't be with us tonight, please let them know it is never too late. At NAMI, we believe in second chances. Thursdays with NAMI will be available on our YouTube channel in just a few days. Now back to our topic. For our virtual audience members of color, I hope tonight's show unfolds as an expression of our support for you. For those of us who live with privilege and have not experienced racism or difficulty of that kind, I hope tonight will be one more step in our ongoing education, an appropriate way to honor Minority Mental Health Month. Whatever the case, I want to thank everyone in our virtual studio audiences, our behind the scenes volunteers, and our panelists for being with us tonight and sharing your story and your expertise with us. Now, without any further ado, I want to welcome our panelists, Vicki Gonzalez from Highland, Illinois, Jackie Martinez of Boston, Massachusetts, and Nilda Rodriguez from Toledo, Ohio. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're allowed to talk now.
Thank you, Peg, Gary, Eddie. And thank you, community.
And I'm unmuting you, Vicki.
Okay, hi everybody.
All right. So in lieu of reading each person's bio tonight, I'm going to take a different approach because our ladies are good at telling their story. And each one of you has a unique recovery journey that brought you to this point today and brought you with us. So in a nutshell, could each of you tell us the highlights of your story and how did you get to be the three Amigas?
Oh, boy.
So, my name is Jackie Martinez, and I came to NAMI. I'm a person with lived experience. I'm a certified peer specialist, and but the way I came to NAMI was that I was struggling with my daughter at a very early age. She was experiencing significant behavioral struggles, and that in turn affected me. And a friend came to me in Boston and introduced me to NAMI Latino. And it was, you know, it's been an ongoing romance ever since. They pulled me into their family. I really needed the support then. And what happened was that was the first place where I actually shared my lived experience, how I've struggled with a mental health disorder, substance abuse recovery, and anxiety, depression from a very, very early age. And that was, you know, I was taken in. A few months later, I was called by somebody in NAMI National Multicultural Department, and they were looking for leaders in the community to go over to the NAMI offices to do a focus group. What happened what happened with that was that I met my very best friend, Vicky, in DC. And taking it from there. Go ahead, Vicky.
Okay. I'm also a person with lived experience. I have bipolar disorder. I've been affiliated with NAMI since the year 2000. So that's been 20 years already. I can't believe it. All that time has gone by. I served on the National NAMI board for 6 years, and I've served on my state boards as well. I've lived in the last 6 or 7 years, I've lived just about everywhere you could think of. I was in Italy for a while, and then I came back, hooked up with NAMI again. I lived in New Hampshire for a while, and now I'm in Southern Illinois. And that's because my son-in-law and my daughter are military, they're Air Force, and I live with them. I also am a NAMI Connections facilitator, and I hold groups in Spanish and English. I met Peg and Nilda through NAMI National, going to the conventions and doing classes for Peg, and then, as Jackie said, I met Jackie in DC, and we've been inseparable ever since. And I learned so much from Jackie, you know, being in recovery, and you know how she handles her anxiety, and just how she presents herself. And you know, I thank God that I have friends like you guys to help me along when I'm having a bad day.
Well, we appreciate you too so much. You always have had this gentle spirit, Vicki, and I always appreciate that about you. Yeah, and Jackie and Nilda are super dynamic people. Vicki, just so you know, your video is shaking a little bit, so if there's a little easel that you could...
I'm gonna try to put it somewhere because my hands shake because of the medication I'm on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to do something here.
Okay, just letting you know, you look, everything else is awesome. I appreciate all those words of wisdom. And Nilda, if you want to go ahead and tell us your NAMI story.
It's been so long. Well, we got into NAMI, my daughter and myself, you know, dealing with teenagers and finding out that we had a lot of things in common, but yet we agree to disagree. And NAMI has helped us to get our lives on track. She really loved learning about mental health, and it just drew us more together. I took a class, I took some friends, and my daughter and myself, and by the time we got done with the class and the people I took, the instructor came up and asked me if I would like to be a facilitator. At first, I really didn't understand what she was saying, and after we spoke, I told her I'd have to take the class again so I could make sure of what I learned, to make sure I was paying attention. If I have to teach somebody this, I've got to make sure what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And I ended up doing it, and I met the girls. Let's see, did we meet? No, we met in Columbus.
I think we all met in a Columbus training. We needed connection trainers in Ohio, and Vicki and Jackie came and trained Nilda and me.
Right. And after that, I just, I don't know, life changed. I've learned so much and helped so much with my own family, with myself, struggling with depression. You know, I'm the type of person, you see the smile on the outside, and crying in the inside. And not very many people know that, you know, and
Mhm.
you guys understand me, you get me. And that's what I learned and shared it with others and ended up getting a place on the board there for a while. And I continue to do NAMI and hopefully to get back in it, get back where I'm supposed to be. And Los Tres Amigas, we love each other. We have the utmost respect. And we learn every day. We learn something different every day.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'll start out with a thank you already for sharing your stories. And I know, Nilda, you are always building people up and making people laugh. So that is definitely the truth, the laughing on the outside and something different on the inside. So let's get rolling. So the world has changed quite a bit in recent months. How are you all taking care of yourselves these days?
Jackie?
How am I taking care of myself? I have a very tight-knit support system. I have wonderful supervisors at work. I also have my faith in prayer, and that's what works for me. And just, you know, following the government guidelines, making sure that when I'm at work, I do use my protective gear, maintaining a social distance, and try to keeping my emotional health in check, and you know, and really knowing where am I at every single day. I have to, like, you know, just think about it and make sure that I'm okay just to face the world out there.
Vicki, Nilda?
For me, I enjoy my grandchildren. I have 4 grandchildren, and I'm raising them alongside the parents, but they both work, so I take care of them. So we're very close with each other, and they brighten up my day like you would not imagine. I try not to watch the news that much because it scares me. This COVID crisis does scare me. And I keep in touch with my friends. I talk to Jackie a million times a day. And if I go a day without talking to her, I get sad. I also love planting. We've got a little garden going on right now, and I plant some herbs and tomatoes and squash, and they're coming up beautifully. And that's about it. I keep in touch with my NAMI family. You know, NAMI's very important to me. NAMI saved my life. That's how important NAMI is to me. And I've been affiliated with them since 2000. And you know, right now I'm no longer serving on any boards or anything like that. But I do my connections group that I love to do, and the people that go there are very committed to their recovery. So that helps too.
Yeah, that always builds me up to being involved in a support group, whether it's as a facilitator or an attendee. I want to thank you also for your service. I know your son-in-law is in the military, and you are a big part of his family being successful. So thank you all for that. Nilda?
Oh my God. I have good days and bad days. You know, as you know, I'm still in the wheelchair, and I've fallen down a few times, and it kind of made it a little worse. So I'm kind of starting all over again. But we take one day at a time. I'm now married. I'm a married woman, and my husband is amazing. You know, if it weren't for him, I don't know if I would have made it. You know, it's, I feel like the rug's been pulled out from underneath me, but I had to look at the brighter side, made the best of it. You know, I got to walk down the aisle, and that was one of the most important things, you know, that I was able to do. And I just, my faith, you know, taking care of my mom, my husband, he's just so wonderful to help me, you know, taking care of her. She's with dementia now. So I not only dealing with the mental health, you know, physically, mentally, spiritually, it's very hard right now. So really, I just take one day at a time. I believe my faith is stronger than it's ever been. Try to always be here to help someone else. Always thanking my husband for being so wonderful. You know, always a please and a thank you. And he's the same way.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, to give people a little bit of background, Nilda was serving on the board of NAMI Ohio when I was the director of programs there. So Nilda was my boss for a while, technically, and you fell and had an accident, and you've been slowly recovering, but the most beautiful love story emerged from that. And the gentleman you'd been dating and very close to ended up being so supportive and then being your husband. Is that a good summary?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It sure is.
That was a beautiful story. I want to share a comment from the chat box. You are not the only one, Jackie, who doesn't watch the news. I keep up online, but it's just too much negativity. That's from our chat box. So thank you, Dana. And,
yeah, it's not healthy for me. Not healthy for Vicky.
Right. Pre-COVID-19, it was a challenge to read the news and not feel deflated by it. Now, forget it. So I appreciate that. You have to take things in small doses, in my opinion. That's what works for me. So let's move along now to our other questions. Jackie, we know that 33% of Hispanic or Latinx adults with mental illness receive treatment each year, and that is lower than the US average of 43%. So what are the primary barriers, and what would it take to get more folks the help that they need?
So like this conversation is about COVID, and it's a whole, I love this question. This is a humongous challenge, and this is my life's mission: education and support. In my community, I was born and raised in Boston. Now I live in Revere, Massachusetts, and for whoever doesn't know, that's where the first public beach is at. I have no idea why, because the beach is public anyways. It's right down the street. But nice. Revere and Chelsea, Massachusetts Chelsea, Massachusetts, a town right over, it's the #1 city in the United States that with the Latinx community with the largest COVID cases and deaths. Wow. Literally 3 miles down the street from me. And a lot of the barriers have to do with the language barriers. Also, this family knit composition where people tend to try on their own medication, a lot of natural herbal remedies, which are great, but not in the time of a pandemic. And a lot of people struggle with being undocumented and have that fear of going to the hospital or accessing any kind of health care. And exposing themselves to any kind of repercussions, especially in today's political climate. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely, yeah. We have barriers of culture, barriers of language, and if someone's undocumented, there's kind of a fear barrier and probably an insurance barrier, like which door you go in.
There are also other factors, especially for people that have experienced trauma, people that struggle with mental illness, people that have been exposed to any kind of violence, domestic violence, childhood violence, are first of all being predisposed, and other the guilt, the shame, everything that comes with it. I grew up with with the sense of that everything was a secret, and being involved with NAMI, and you're having all the supports from family to family to NAMI connections to peer to peer, all the wonderful educational programs that NAMI has to offer have really opened up my heart and my mind to this new life. And you know, people in the community really didn't like me very much for a little while, because that's all I would talk about was NAMI. But it did save my life, and I hope that people are open to looking into things, and hopefully it'll help you too.
So you were that person for a while.
Yeah, that person.
Good for you, though. When there's a conspiracy of silence, that person is saving lives.
That conspiracy brought me all the way to be on the NAMI National Board of Directors, trying to create change. And in my state, I know that I have been essential to bringing the Latinx community together and having a voice.
Right, and I know that nationally, both you and Vicki and Nilda, through the peer council when she was involved, brought Spanish-speaking programs to the forefront and did a lot of work that way to broaden the reach of NAMI, right?
That's right.
I know you two are too humble to bring that up, you three, but I'm going to bring it up.
Thank you. And there's still a lot of work to be done. So if there's anybody out there that needs support and encouragement, I'm your cheerleader. Vicky's your cheerleader. Peg's your cheerleader, and so is Nilda.
We are here for you. That's exactly right. You can find us at naminc.org. The national website, nami.org, has all kinds of wonderful information. So please reach out if you'd like some support. Vicki or Nilda, did you want to add to Jackie's answer before we move on?
No, I think she said a lot in a nutshell.
Anything else to do?
Okay, so I think we're good. Moving right along. This one's for Vicki. You've organized a number of Spanish-speaking NAMI support groups for different people. You've also facilitated in English. Putting the language aside, what are the big differences there?
I think the biggest difference is the shame that families put upon you when you're mentally ill. And that,
Right.
you know, like Jackie says a lot, when I hear her talk, that everything is a secret. You know, there's talk behind you and rumors, but nobody comes right out and says anything. And that makes the person with mental illness suffer even more. And I feel also, and there's statistics that prove that Spanish-speaking people, there's a larger rate of suicide within the community, as opposed to someone who is born and raised here that is also Spanish, but they're Americans. Do you know what I'm saying? And but I've had the opportunity back in Chicago to have a connections group there, and I had about 12 people who were all Spanish speaking and from Mexico, and 2 of them out of the group committed suicide.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
no.
And you just never know who's going to do it and why. The person, one person who died by suicide, brought cookies that weekend that we had our connections group, and then the following week I find out from the family that she had passed. And so I really like to talk to the Spanish community and say to them that you're not alone. You got to remember you're not alone, and not to give up hope. Because if your family, your blood relatives won't support you, we will support you. It's always been a mantra of mine. And also I learned that from NAMI. I learned that from people like you, Peg, from Jackie, from Nilda, from the hundreds of people that I've met doing this national work. And also NAMI has is evolving again. And
Mhm.
I think that in the next couple of years, you're going to see a lot of growth with NAMI National and the Hispanic community.
Yeah.
And that's based on work that Jackie started, I started, another girl in the group started, Gloria Walker, she's from Ohio. And
Oh, yeah.
it's not only the Hispanic community, it's the community of color too, African Americans. So we
Oh, yeah.
really focus on that. We really focus on that.
Yeah,
That's
and
really important, especially with this new, with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
You know, with this whole Black Lives Matter movement, stuff that should have been taken care of years ago. This is the time to,
Yeah.
you know, be on the forefront.
I would agree
All
with
life
that.
matters.
Nilda?
I said all life matters. Not, you know, all of us. I mean, you know, I mean, I understand what they're saying, but we all matter. And the people with mental health, you know, they're learning that people are caring when they get the help that they need, but they don't ask. They're afraid to ask. They're in a world all of their own.
Well, I want to respond to that and make sure we don't get sidetracked. We do know that African American folks are much more likely to die as a result of police use of force. That was our program last week, that for youth and young men, Black youth and Black young men, it's actually the 6th leading cause of death, which is ridiculous and
Unbelievable.
inexplicable.
That's
So
unbelievable.
all lives matter, and some are more at risk clearly than others
Right.
in terms of police use of force. We do have some really interesting questions coming up at the chat box.
All right.
It does seem that all cultures have an element of shame and secrecy around the topic of mental illness. How does the Latinx culture compare? Like, how much worse is it, I guess, is the question.
So
On
how
a
much?
scale- Go ahead.
No. You go ahead, Vicki.
I was going to say that on a scale of 1 to 10, it's about a 9. Being honest with you, 9 being the worst, 10 being the worst.
So
Yeah.
here in Massachusetts, and growing up in like my family, I'm the first. You know, they were the first generation over from Puerto Rico, which is part of the United States, but it's an island and it's Spanish, dominating Spanish, and all of that. You know, it was very, very hard. It wasn't until this day. I think that, I don't know, I'm a Scorpio, so people think like I just was blunt about things once I saw that light, the light of support in other communities. I decided to just speak out in my family, but and it kind of changed things, and it's taken so long, so long to this day. My mother have finally accepted who I am. You know, I get paid for being who I am, which is awesome. But I'm also working a lot with the Asian community, and it's astonishing. And you know, I have this is in Massachusetts. It's very, very, very diverse. But you know, in the communities of color, I think I've seen either, you know, like for Afro-American communities and Latinx communities, it's just about the same. But in my experience, the Asian community has a very high mortality rate for people that die by suicide, and just the shame and just the shame of even talking about anything. Substance abuse, mental illness is unbearable. And I have like a very close friend of mine that's doing a lot of great work in the Asian and Pacific Islander communities, and you know, that is one of our unsung heroes.
All right, thank you. That's a good summary and kind of helps us put it in perspective there. Let's move on now. We've got a question here for Nilda. It seems like each community, each ethnicity has its own version of stigma. Nilda, What does it look like in your community?
You know, I guess on the different side, east, north, west, on the south end of Toledo, you know, that community there, it's the Hispanic. There is, I would say, probably 75% Hispanic. And they're, like I said, they're afraid to speak, to talk about mental health, you know, the uncle in the bedroom where he doesn't come out and they have to, you know, take him his food, and nobody knows about Uncle Juan, you know. And I believe that it's still like that, you know. It hasn't changed. As much as we have changed out here, it hasn't changed. It's the same.
Any follow-up, Vicki or Jackie?
No, I just think that, you know, just sticking to it, being kind and gentle when bringing up conversations, providing resources if you have them. If you don't have them, contact. If you're, you know, contact PEG or NAMI National.
Right.
You know, but you know, there's so much help out there that it's, you know, and there's help in like multiple languages. It's not just English. So if you do have, like in my family, if you do have difficulty expressing yourself in English, you know, there is a, you know, Spanish speaking for the Latino the Spanish speaking community, for English, for Cape Verde, Creole, French, Italian, you name it, there is information out there. So don't hesitate to contact any of us, I guess. I'm putting you ladies out there.
Well, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And we could
Thumbs that up.
We could also follow up with an email information, what resources are available in North Carolina in Spanish, what reading materials are available. So we'd be happy to send out more information that way. All right. Let's go on to our next question. And this one is for Jackie again. You kind of did touch on COVID-19 already. How it's hitting the Latinx community so much more than the general population. In fact, for every white person who's hospitalized, 4 Latinx are. Is there anything you wanted to add? You did sort of get into that with your first question.
Yeah, so what I do want to add is that at least in my side of the country, in the East Coast, literally the coast is down the street from me, and you know, I mentioned earlier that I work with the homeless community. A lot of the people that do wind up in the hospital have no symptoms, and bang, it happens. So if you have been exposed, if you have anything outside of the normal, or if you were in doubt, try to go get tested. Some people, I have a niece that was very sick back in December. Yeah, she did come out, like right now she's fine. And last month she went just for a routine test, and she did come out with the antibodies. So what does that mean? That eventually she had it. And I really do think it was back in December. So you never know. And, you know, a lot of the communities of color are dying because we just don't know. So, you know, there is such a thing as asymptomatic. And if you do experience any kind of symptoms, shortness of breath, you know,
taste and smell.
Yeah. Any type of fever, chills, excessive exhaustion, please go get checked because, you know, it's very important, you know.
And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go get checked, especially the Latino community that they're undocumented. You know, they're afraid to go to the hospital. They're afraid to see a doctor.
On the news this morning, I heard in my community, some people from the health center that I go to have received bills because they've had the COVID test. So it's free. If you get a bill, call your health center because it is free. The government said it was free. And if you're at high risk, it's very important to take care of yourself. Get tested. Don't worry about any bills coming later on because the COVID testing is free. All 50 states and territories. I'm sorry. I just had to say that.
That's great. And this is why it's important to know a mental health advocate and a general advocate, to know your rights and know what you can expect and demand. It is extremely important. And I'd like to re-emphasize how you might not be having symptoms if you know you've spent time either in public and were in close quarters with folks unintentionally, or you know you've been in contact with someone who is sick. Please get tested. They're even finding that sometimes a person's oxygen level in their lungs, it can be very, very low. And for some reason with this illness, the person doesn't feel it. They feel okay. But then they'll spiral downward very quickly and their health will be very seriously at risk. So it's not something you want to put off. Please take care of yourselves. All right. Thank you for that, Jackie. Next question. So Vicki, COVID-19 has made online appointments much more available, more affordable. On one hand, people don't have to drive. They can live wherever and have their appointments with their therapist, with their doctor. On the other hand, if you don't have access to that technology, that can be a real disadvantage. It can cut you off. What's been the overall impact on the Latinx community there?
Well, I think the common thing there is not having, because I live in a rural area, a very rural area. There's cornfields by me, and not being able to get to the doctor, not being able to get a ride, and they don't have the technology to do it. To talk to their doctors. That's been hard. That's been difficult. But I talk to people at the hospital because I have my I do have a lot of underlying conditions, and I go to the hospital a lot, and I leave NAMI pamphlets all over the place. And you know, I tell them that if they're sick or they can't get to a doctor, to make a call. There's a few people in town who will give you a ride to the doctor's office for a small fee, you know, gas money. And you know, that's the way that some of them are doing it now.
Got it.
Yeah,
Well,
out where Vicki lives,
solution.
there's no Uber, there's no Lyft, there's no anything.
No.
So you have to maintain some kind of connection with somebody just in case of an emergency.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of community. So I'm so glad that that's what you're seeing, is neighbors helping neighbors and friends helping friends.
Yeah.
How about you, Nilda? Would you like to add anything to that?
I think more now than ever, you know, some people are really learning, you know, to be more kinder, to be more helpful, you know. There's been so much hate, you know, and I think, I don't know, I think with this COVID, we're all going to learn like a different normal, what they're talking about, you know.
It is definitely a new normal. It is definitely a new normal. And
it's just real scary.
I love that vision that you have, that this will teach us to communicate better, that we'll come through this stronger as a country with more understanding and more compassion.
I believe so. I believe so. I think there's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be a lot of changes, but people have to be willing to change. Have to be willing to take that step, you know. A lot of people don't like change, especially elders. And we're losing all our elders, as you can see, whether it's, you know, the Latinos, You know, it doesn't matter. You see all the elders just seem to be going away.
They are definitely
Making
more at
room for us.
risk. Yeah,
They
they are
sure are.
definitely more at risk. And I noticed that, this is my perception, if I read the headlines, read the national news, I feel terrible. I feel so concerned. But if I look around me at my community and all the good things that are happening and all the good people who are trying to help, then it's beautiful. So we have to keep a balanced focus, solve problems where we can, but not lose sight of the good things that are happening all over the place.
Exactly.
I'm benefiting just by spending more time with the family, even though I'm still at work, but I have more than one job. I get to do one job from home and the other one that I go to every day. But just spending the time with my son and my granddaughter, my husband, you know, and just having, like, even though we're always eating at this house, but more family meals.
Of course. I'm with you there.
Yes.
And I try to
I think
share
we
them
all
with
might
Vicky
be
on
right now.
FaceTime all the time.
You guys eat lunch together, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, she teases me with the way she cooks. She's a very good cook.
That's another thing, you know, eating healthy or as healthy as you can. You know, keeping hydrated, especially with these ridiculous, like, heat waves that we're having, is very important. And check on your neighbors and your friends.
Absolutely. So let's move on to the next question. A lot of good stuff there to unpack, and I'm getting a lot of wisdom out of your comments, so I appreciate that. Nilda, this one's for you. Latinx culture is known for its emphasis on family and having family take care of any problems that come up. When does that help someone's mental health, and when can it cause trouble?
Oh boy. Well, causing trouble sometimes, you know, people don't want other people in the family to know that they're dealing with any type of mental health. And, you know, it goes from one person to the other, and then there's a little animosity there. And, you know, who is suffering with the mental health, it just, it puts them deeper into a type of depression. You know, that's where the hurt is. As for helping, you know, this, how can I say, the support, you know, when you're getting your family support, when they do find out that there is a type of issue, that, you know, you sit down and talk about it. You know, there's no reason to hide it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. And that's one thing that los Latinos have to learn, to reach out. You know, someone will be there. And with NAMI, we're all very, very strong. We're a family. I've never met a family like NAMI, which saved our lives too, and saved my time with my daughter, gave me more time before she passed away, understanding each other. If it weren't for NAMI, I wouldn't have had that. You know, and then I wish we could reach more Mexicanos. You know, there's so many people out there that need help that we don't know of. They don't know to reach us, and we don't know that they're there. You know, I don't know. Just taking.
I think that also NAMI's programs for families in Spanish, familia a familia, persona a persona, conexiones. They have it for the person with the mental illness and for the family members. And I know that helps the family a lot. It brings what darkness there is in having mental illness to the light. And it's so very important to try to educate the people that are in your community that speak Spanish, that you know that is having a bad time, or putting them pamphlets out there at your doctor's office and hospital lobby. It helps to get the word out.
You know, and one of the benefits of all this, and Vicky, I think you're doing it tomorrow. What are you doing tomorrow night, Vicky?
Tomorrow night,
Yeah.
I have my groups.
Yeah. So Vicky opened up a Zoom account, and because Vicky just had a little bit of surgery on her foot, she's doing her NAMI Connections Recovery Support Group via Zoom. I'm doing my NAMI Conexiones in Spanish via Zoom. You know, it's all technology, and if you can't connect with Zoom, you could always call in.
Mhm.
Just with an
Call
access
in,
code.
or sometimes people go to their another participant's home just to go on Zoom because they don't have the technology for it.
That's
I have that in my group right now.
So that's awesome. That's awesome, and that's for everybody. Spanish speaking, English speaking, Spanglish speaking, like me. Half English, half Spanish.
That's right. We have lots of virtual groups available in North Carolina too. If you go to our website, naminc.org, and click on support, you'll find a page that lists every virtual group that is offered. We have groups for folks who are family members, lived experience, all kinds of good support available there. So please take advantage. We'd love to see you. All right, we are at our halfway point already. I'm a little bit shocked by that, but we are. I want to thank our panelists at this halfway point for sharing so much of your wisdom and your expertise. You've got a lot of great comments in the chat box here. Kindness is everything. A lot of comments of agreement. Before we move to our video of the week, muchas gracias to the folks working behind the scenes, Executive Director Gary Kreitz, who's always on hand to help with the chat box or some kind of support. Our fabulous intern, Eddie Simmons, also is our producer tonight with tech support. Muchas gracias also to my friend El Señor Victor Garcia, who joined us tonight just in case we need a translator. So please ask a question in Spanish in the Q&A so that I don't feel like I've wasted his time. You'll do me a solid if you do that. Come here, Victor. I might as well introduce him because he's stepping in.
Hi, Victor. Thank you.
Good
All
to
right.
see you.
So this is Victor. He's going to help me out. Please, somebody put a Spanish question in the box. Now for our video of the week. Tonight's clip, I'm going to share this screen and show you this message from our mascot here, Roxy Morrison, and her assistant, Michaela Leffen. So,
Roxy.
let me go to the right screen here so I can share this with you all. Here we go.
Is she related to you?
Roxy, your dog.
Ven, siéntate, dame tu pata, dame. Good girl, buena perlita, buena.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, so something fun. Our video of the week is a little bit lighter, and I am trying to get back to my main Zoom screen here so I can rejoin everyone. Stop share, that's what I need to click. All right, so it's very easy to ask a question in Zoom. You just want to click on the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. Magically, a screen will open up and you can type your question there. So we're going to take as many questions as we possibly can before our program ends at 8:30. All right. Our first one, have you seen differences in the experiences of Latino men experiencing mental illness versus Latino women?
Interesting question. To be honest with you, no, I haven't seen too much of a difference. The men may be a little bit more macho about it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but as far as too many differences, once you get to talk to them and they really share, they don't stop. You know.
Well, I have two men at home. I have my 21-year-old son and my husband, and the people that I work with, and the shelter guests that are Latino seem to, in my, what I have noticed is that way over to, I mean, it's bad enough of, having that like macho feel all the time, and now it's like too, which I guess is a good thing in one way, but a little bit too much for my personality to be so protective, taking care of their families. That's, they're known for that. And I'm grateful for that, definitely. And if that's one good thing I could get out of this COVID thing, I'll take it.
So it sounds like the protectiveness, and maybe they feel some pressure that women don't feel necessarily.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Nilda, do you want to share your perspective with us?
Yeah, I've experienced a lot of, the men especially that, come from Mexico, and they bring their families, and they don't want nobody talking to their wives. They don't want to be bothered. They don't believe in getting any outside help. And that's the biggest problem that, that they have, that they feel depleted. Would that, does that make any kind of sense, that they feel just a little bit deflated? Yes, the macho thing's always going to be there, but, the women have to learn to stand up for themselves, and it's hard because that's where the abuse comes in, But yeah, I do see a lot of differences, The women want to learn, but yet then they catch hell when they get home, excuse my expression, but, they're asking questions, and then, are you seeing somebody? And it starts a whole roll, They just don't want to be able to not run things. They have to be in charge. That just seems, Dad was not like that at all. He was very respectful with my mother. He was, they don't make him like that no more. Well, my husband, but, they just don't make him like that no more.
Nilda, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because also the rate of domestic violence and child abuse in the United States has shot up the roof. And that's in all communities, not just the Latinx community. So
it makes sense. There are so many people in close quarters who were not in close quarters before. People
the kids not being in school, increase depression, increase anxiety. So increase in the manifestation of symptoms, whatever you have, so know that you're not alone, and there is help out there.
Absolutely. I know moms who were working in an office are now home. They're having to homeschool kids who would have been in school. It's a lot of pressure in small quarters for a lot of folks. Yeah. Any thoughts, Vicki? Do you want to share with us?
Well, the question was the difference between Latin men and Latin women when it becomes, when there's mental illness involved. What do you notice? That was the original question, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just talking about the men that have not the family, but themselves that have the mental illness. They are harder to get through to, and their families support them in such a way that it kind of masks everything. But we have men out there who will open up and know that not to be ashamed or be afraid, and that you're not less of a person, less of a man for opening up.
Absolutely. I think the more we see men role modeling that, and people respect them all the more. It takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable. And it's a different way of being macho, a different way of being masculine.
It's a
Right.
great way of being strong.
Absolutely. All right. Excellent question. Thank you for that. So there's a question, do you teach or do groups virtually? I assume that means, do you all do Spanish speaking groups online that someone here could join?
I do Spanish groups online, NAMI Connections. And in Massachusetts, we're providing, I think it's coming up really soon, peer-to-peer classes and family-to-family classes. I'm almost sure they're starting sometime in August.
Yeah, I heard that somewhere too. I read it.
So I guess you got to go to NAMIMass.org and find out.
That was my next question. So where do they, so you want to go to NAMIMass, NAMIMASS.org and find those groups listed online.
That's correct.
Okay, good stuff. And I know, Nilda, you mentioned that your connection group is also online. Where would we find that? You know, I said Nilda and I meant Vicky. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was your question again?
You mentioned that your connection group is now online. Could someone Google that and learn about it?
Yeah, someone can not. I'm affiliated, even though I live in Illinois. I'm affiliated with NAMI Greater Cincinnati now, with Gloria Walker. I'm a member of her affiliate. So if you look on that website, you'll find my NAMI Connections group.
So NAMIOhio.org, right?
I guess so, right?
That might be a roundabout way of finding it. I would Google NAMI Urban Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's even better.
Yeah.
Right. I just want to help people find it directly. I'm not sure if NAMI Ohio has those listings online. They may or may not. But
They should.
Really, I'm sorry?
They should.
Well, Jackie's going to have a talk with them after the show, I think. All right, next question.
You know, I'm one of the people that creating access for all is very important. So the easier it is to get information, the better people will feel. It will reduce all type of anxiety levels and frustration. Because I'm one that it's very hard. It's very, when I get frustrated, I want to give up. But I've learned throughout the years. So the easier we could create access, the better.
That's exactly right. And most NAMI support groups, classes are open to people from other states, people from other communities joining in.
Yeah, that's the beauty of being virtual.
It is. COVID-19 has given us a big push in that direction, and it has had amazing benefits. And I do understand there is a digital divide. There are some people being left behind by this, but there are also folks who have no transportation, but they can get it online, and they're getting a whole lot more support from people all over the country, and that's a beautiful thing. All right. So do you see Latinx youth struggling with mental health stigma, or do you see some improvement with the next generation?
I see improvement. I see
You
a
do?
lot of improvement. Yeah, with the youth. Yeah, there's a NAMI National has a youth organization, and they have special sessions for them when it comes time for convention, for national convention, and they do virtual stuff too, from the convention to the youth out there that are asking questions. They also had something online similar to, I don't know, Jackie, if you remember the name of this, like a FaceTime.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness. I might have a complete blank. But Peg, maybe you could share the NAMI virtual convention information in the chat box or something. And you can look, you know, families and any individual that's on this call or on the recording later could look into it, because I know they have a lot of great sessions for the annual convention. What
And
I
it's
might
free.
experience, and it's free. And that's even better. And if it came with a meal, it would have been fabulous. But I really do think that, you know, that communication, especially with the youth and young adults, is so much better now. People like, we are the shoulders that we stand on. So we have people that started all these different wonderful organizations like NAMI from the grassroots. We stand on everybody's shoulders and pass on the information. You know, just being able to talk about it in the schools. What do they have? They have NAMI Basics now. They have, what's the Parents and
Ending
Allies?
the silence.
Ending the Silence.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many wonderful programs, and it's making it so much easier. There are the wraparound programs nationally that work with families, you know, in every component of a, when you have children that are dealing with mental illness, to get that support system. So yeah, I see that we're headed in the right direction. Not fast enough, but we're, you know, I do see, you know, nationally, I do see that there is a push to for more education and more support.
I love that you brought up the NAMI convention. They do have different tracks there, and some of them are very focused on diversity, a lot of great topics, and it is free. Gary Kreitz has just put that link in the chat box. It's
Hey,
also
thank you,
pretty
Gary.
easy to find online with a Google search. Next question is a comment, which it's wonderful to hear this. Love Roxy, exceptional guest. Thanks so much to all. Thank you.
Aw,
And that's a very
thanks,
wonderful
Mom.
comment.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there statistics about the percentages of mental illness in Latinx children compared to the general population?
So there are statistics, and that is my specialty. So there are statistics in the Latinx community when it comes to children under the age of 18. We also have statistics for what's called young adults, which range for the age of 16 to 26. So right now, receiving services in the United States, approximately 23% of people that has identified, so that's the key word, identified as having some type of diagnosis. So where do they find this information? In the public school systems, from the health centers. So, but we do know that there are a lot of children and a lot of family members that are not being, that have no diagnosis, that is not your identity. So for instance, my name is Jacqueline. My name is not depression or anxiety. And the younger first episode psychosis. That's I work for Partners Healthcare in Massachusetts, you know, in conjunction with Harvard University and Mass General Hospital at the Center of Excellence. And one of the programs that we have, and you can Google this, is first episode psychoses. So all that information is in there. And there's also links. If you have any, you know, if you're just wondering, is this happening to my child or somebody that I know, all the resources are there.
That is a wonderful answer. I want to highlight that you were talking about Partners in Massachusetts. There is also a Partners Healthcare in North Carolina. So please don't be confused by that.
So this is specifically in Massachusetts. In fact, we are working on, and I'll send you the link, Pig, so maybe you could share it with everybody else. And we'll be doing a presentation in a couple of weeks on the National Psychology Conference. Anyways, it'll be free on our projects that we have going on. And one of them is called the Parenting Project, and talking about mental health and parenting and mental health stigma. and it's
Mm,
excellent. So we'll keep you posted.
very good topic. Nilda, did you want to add something? You look like you do. No pressure.
I don't know if she's there.
Yeah,
she's there.
it mutes me and unmutes me. Nobody can take your education away, you know, and I just, I hope that we're able to teach the younger ones that how important it is to be able to talk about mental health, that, you know, they can reach out, that there is somebody, and after you get the education in mental health, your whole life changes. Not only are you doing it for yourself, you know, you help friends, family, and, you know, the world's changing, and hopefully we'll have more kindness to be able to, you know, be kinder to people with mental health. You know, you see a lot of people shunning people with mental health. You know, I take time to talk to that person, take time to make that person feel. You know, it's one thing that we just we have to do.
I love
Okay.
that statement, that
Mhm.
it's so hard to be that person who others are backing away from.
Yes, and I see it all the time.
Mm.
And you can see the pain in the face. You can see it in their eyes. You can see the fear in their eyes, questions in their eyes.
You made an amazing statement, Nilda, about how having NAMI, having a circle of support that really understands and accepts you is such a life changer. And it is. A lot of
Yeah.
folks need to give their family time, lots of time to come around to understand, grapple with their own stigma, and really be supportive. And hopefully they finish the process. Some families do not. In the meantime,
Right.
it is so helpful to have your NAMI family.
It
Yeah,
helped a lot for my family. Yeah.
I'm curious, did we get any questions in Spanish?
Not
Oh,
yet. I'm
todavía
still
no.
waiting.
Todavía no. Oh, man.
So what gives you hope? Anyone
What
can
is
do
what?
that. What gives you hope?
What gives me hope is that there are forums like this one, that people are having conversations that are very important, that you see a little bit of change going on in the world, even though this is a horrible thing that we're going through with this pandemic. I see that there's a lot of unity as well. So that gives me hope.
it gives me hope too.
Yeah.
What gives me hope is my grandchildren, that I'm able to have a second chance in life to raise children and to remember how I raised them. Because when I was a mother of younger children, I was so sick that I missed out a lot of that. And even though family, I thank God family had my ex-husband, he would, anytime I would get sick, he would take the children, take care of them, feed them, clothe them, send them to school, whatever. And when I got well again, he would always bring them back home to me. And I think that helped me recover faster as well. And then as they were getting a little older, we would go to family therapy together. And that's where I really got to know my children, because they would open up and tell me how they felt about me being sick and me being absent from their lives. And now that they're adults, my oldest daughter is 38 and my son is 29. They understand, they get it. They understand me. If they had a little animosity to some of the things that I had done in my past, they get it now. They understand me, and I am so grateful to that.
I'm so
Second
happy you
hand.
had that support.
Mm-hmm.
No, and the good thing with Vicky that I see is that, you know, she's living with her daughter and raising the grandchildren, has a very open relationship with the son, and it's just, you know, it does come to a full circle eventually. It's just, and it's not just like people's own like blood family, it's your chosen family, and that's very important, because sometimes some family members just do not belong in your life. That's just reality.
You can't pick
It
your
is.
family, you can pick your friends.
That's for sure.
And sometimes your friends turn into family.
Yeah, like Vicky.
Oh yeah,
Sister
like
from
all
another Mr. and Mrs.
yeah, sister from
Three amigas.
Oh yeah. Yeah, always, always, always. We've learned a lot. Hey, I really got to get back into the swing of things with NAMI. I have to do something. It's gotta. I've had all this, and I want to get it all back. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things have changed.
So this is
And-
called the Three Amigas in Nilda. The important thing is that you're taking care of your health. That's all you need to concentrate with right now.
I'm trying. You know, it's day by day. Some days I don't feel good. Some days I do. I mean, I really can't hardly even put weight on my leg, and now I'm jumping up in a truck now.
We are all supporting you, and I'm so glad that you're able to take that time and that you are circling back to connect with NAMI. You have done an excellent job of staying in touch. Ironically, you were at a NAMI Ohio board meeting when you fell and that whole saga part of your life started. I want to make sure that we're getting as much wisdom and experience and hope to our virtual studio audience. Tell me, you all, what book or movie or song gives you hope? What lifts you up?
Oh wow! For me,
Wow,
it's
I got.
it's a song. I don't know the name of it. You may know the name of it. Coldplay sings it. Chris Martin.
To Rule the World?
I used to rule the world. No. I'll think about it. You go ahead, Jackie.
So I was hoping that you would maybe play a little bit and share a screen or something, Peg. But there's this new song by the Illegals. They're a Dominican group, and it came out precisely during this COVID-19 times, very difficult times. It is called Llénate de Fe. The translation into English for that is fill yourself with hope. And just seeing, and in the video, you could see it's like, maybe you can share the YouTube link or whatever. It just reminds me of everything that is good in life, and that, you know, even though when difficult times, recovery is real and everything is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's try sharing that now. I think it's a great idea.
And it's just a beautiful rhythm. And one of my favorite people, Big Papi, comes out. Red Sox Big Papi, right at the beginning.
All right, y'all let me know if you see it and hear it.
Llénate de fe. Llénate de fe. Llénate de fe. Llénate de fe. De fe. Estamos viviendo momentos difíciles. Momentos de prueba, momentos de crisis. Pero Dios tiene en sus manos la solución de todo porque Él está a tu lado. Si siente que ahora lo ha perdido todo y cree que tu vida no tiene sentido, recuerda hay una luz en el camino que te guía, que te cuida, tú estás bendecido. Llénate de fe y no pierdas la esperanza. Llénate de fe, recuerda siempre hay un mañana. Llénate de fe, Él te cuida y te ama. Llénate de fe, de fe, de fe. Llénate de fe, todo tiene solución. Llénate de fe, ábrele tu corazón. Llénate de fe, verá que todo va a estar bien. Llénate de fe, de fe, de fe. A veces la vida nos pega bien duro, nos quita el aliento, nos quita la fuerza, pero de algo estoy seguro, que Dios a sus hijos nunca solo los deja. Oh, no, no, no. Si siente que ahora lo ha perdido todo y cree que tu vida no tiene sentido, recuerda hay una luz en el camino que te guía, que te cuida, tú estás bendecido. Llénate de fe y no pierdas la esperanza. Llénate de fe, recuerda siempre hay un mañana. Llénate de fe, Él te cuida y te ama. Llénate de fe, de fe, de fe. Llénate 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 de fe. De fe. De fe. Llénate de fe. Llénate de fe. Llénate de fe, llénate de fe. Llénate de fe. Solo tienes que creer en Él. Llénate de fe. De fe.
All right.
So
Yeah.
for those of you that don't understand Spanish, the song is all about of having faith and having hope and keeping up. And we have so many wonderful healthcare workers out there. Everyone like from the postman to the garbage, the people that pick up the garbage to the people that stock our shelves in grocery stores. Just everybody that's out there, frontline workers, and everybody that's out there supporting you. Let's be grateful, and all of those that have lost loved ones, deepest condolences, and just keep up the faith and the hope, and eventually everything's going to be okay.
Well, you're getting rave reviews in the chat box. Literally tears coming down. I needed that. Very powerful and beautiful. Very awesome. So, and thank you for the explanation, Nilda.
I really appreciated that. I needed it too. Thank God that we're bilingual and we understand.
So I was very, very, very blessed that one of the people from the shelter I work in came in one day a few weeks ago and said, Jackie, this is what I have for you, and thank you. So that's why when you asked, Peg, in the, an email, that's immediately what came up, and that's why I sent you that.
Vicki?
I want to just say thank you, Peg, for playing the song. And you are awesome. You rock. You rocked in Ohio when I met you, and you rock now in North Carolina, and they're very lucky to have you.
Thank you so very
Everything she touches.
So we went from the 3 amigas to the 4 amigas.
That's it. We gotta come.
Well,
Another name.
I appreciate y'all so much. This is what I love about NAMI. It lifts us up and it fills our hearts and tells us we're not alone. There is another question here for Jackie. What
For me.
percentage of the Latino mentally ill that you see in homeless shelters have you seen get better, and how do they achieve it?
I think recovery is real, especially, you know, a lot of people in Massachusetts, where we're progressive. When I need to brag about my state, you know, we have wonderful programs that provide peer support that are they're run communities. I know that in the United States, we have clubhouses. I was the director of the first Latino Clubhouse, which is a psych rehab center for people with lived experience. Just having people out there in the emergency rooms, at the homeless shelters. That's what I do. In the police station with crisis intervention treatments. When you have people with lived experience in recovery, in the neighborhoods where predominantly Latinos live, or Afro-Americans, whatever culture, I think that is the remedy to success in bringing people in. Sharing your story is number one, because I know that from that throughout the years, I've had so many people that some have passed, but I sit down sometimes and just think about it. Oh my God, what a difference Kathy made, or Ann made, or Vicky made, just by being there, just lending an ear. So certified peer specialist programs are awesome. And if you're and I know Ohio has some really good programs. You could always look into it through NAMI. And a percentage, it's a low percentage for the Latino community, but overall it's for just the whole community is somewhere in people in recovery. And this is just, it's not new, but it's fairly new because it's more open now. I think it's like 16%. But also recovery is non-linear, so you could go up and you could go down, but just keep getting up and moving forward.
That is so true. And we have peer support specialists here in North Carolina as well. It is a best practice and it is a wonderful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
I'm not seeing any more questions, so I'm going to start to do my redundant thank yous. Thank you so very much to all of our panelists, Nilda, Jackie, Victoria. You've all been wonderful. I knew your warmth and your insight would come through, and it has. Thank you to El Senor Victor Garcia, who was on deck and supported me and gave me the confidence to know we could handle the Spanish question should it arise. And of course, thanks to Gary Kreitz and Eddie Simmons for handling our behind the scenes chat box and producer functions. Any other questions before we wrap up? Tick tock, tick tock. Okay, I think we're good to go. Any final words from our awesome panelists?
I enjoyed being with you all tonight. You gave me more hope in listening to each other's stories, and just having this forum right here. It means a lot to me.
I'm really happy because I ran out of water and dying of thirst. I'm only kidding. But humor is another thing, another part of my recovery. And I'm glad that we were here together. And thank you for everybody that joined us. And to remember, always reach out. There's always someone somewhere that's willing to help. And be safe, everybody.
Right, wear your mask. Social distance.
Wash your hands.
Okay, it feels like the energy is that we should conclude. Again, I want to thank our virtual studio audience, our panelists, and our volunteers. So this is the point where I say 90 minutes has flown by. Everyone has done a wonderful job, and do be safe out there. Our panelists
Bye.
are correct. It's really important to be safe. So take care of yourselves.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Love y'all.
Love
I
ya.
love you too.
Love you too.
Love you. Bye.